to the fourth lesson. Last time we were together, we talked about the different layers. We talked about how to change the opacity, and we added a little bit of text. In this lesson, I'm going to discuss a little bit more about text. We're going to close this project if it's open, and it's up to you if you want to save it. I'm not going to save, no, and I'm going to look at this one. Now, before we get started, we can stretch this out. If there is a lot of space above and below, you could hold down on the shift button and drag it up and it will stretch. But if it's a great distance, I don't recommend that because you warp your image, and this image looks heavily warped and we don't want to warp it too much. So I will go undo, and what I'll do instead is I'll go to image and we will trim out all the little background areas so that we just have our picture. Okay, so to add text to this picture, we are going to go down to the T, which is on the left side, and before we click on our screen, there's an area at the top which is very important. If you click on the drop down here, you'll get your different fonts. Click on this one. If you click on this area, you'll get regular, and I think you can do bold. Over here is your font size. It will only go up to 72. If you want it to go higher, you have to manually click in here and change the number. And right here, how do you want your font to look? You want it to look sharp, crisp, strong, or smooth. And then we have left margin, center, right margin alignment, the color of your font. If I click here, I can choose red font, or I can click in here at any of these areas and I can get a color palette similar to that. But still remember that you must click into the big window here and make your final selection. Okay, so I'm going to go to blue. And remember, even though there's no white or black on this line, white and black are the far left top is white and far left bottom or anywhere along there is your black. So if I'm choosing black, I'll click there. If I'm choosing white, I'll click there and click OK. So now that we have white selected, we know that it is being centered, it is sharp, it's a 200 size font, which is regular, and we are selecting a thicker font, which is this sample one called Copperplate Gothic Bold. If I click in the middle, it's going to come in, and you can see from the size of this picture that it is too big. So before I start actually typing, I will change it to 100 and go enter, and it's still a little bit too big, but we'll type it in anyway. I'm going to type in duck, the word duck right here, and click on the check mark. And then I'll go to the move tool, and if again you have the show transform control selected with a check mark, you will see squares all around your font. At this point in the move tool, I could move it anywhere I want. I could drag it out using the corners or any part of these little handles. I could make it big or small, and it is proportional. The height and the width are locked together. But if you don't want that and you want to stretch it, I'm going to make this bigger. I'll make it longer. Hold down on the shift button and you can stretch it like so, and you can stretch it down or up. And if you drag a corner, you can do your height and your width together, okay, like this. So now that I have duck selected right here, if you see a pink line appear, it means that you're centered left and right. Okay, if you drag it down in the middle and you see a horizontal line, then you are centered vertically up and down. So the pink little lines that appear are really good to help you figure out when you're centered. I'll go check mark, and again, if I want to rotate, move your mouse out, and sometimes when you click to do things, the little handles move out a little bit, so it's good to click once and then you have your selection which is set. So So you can move and rotate your text like this. Another thing that you can do is change your colors at this point. If I come over to the right side and see my white, if it gives you that kind of indication, you have to hit your check mark. So I'll click on my colors, I'll choose red and click outside, there's red. You could even double click into your font and word and highlight each letter and make those a different color. Let me go blue. And I'll highlight the U and let me make that one yellow. Highlight the C and make that one green. And we'll leave the K the way it is and click outside and check mark. So we can change those individually, which is really cool to do. Okay, we could duplicate this, as you know, in a previous lesson. If we drag the word down onto the plus symbol, we could drag it down like this, and we could make that a smaller graphic, like so. I'm going to delete this by clicking on it and then going to the garbage can. If you don't drag it to the garbage can, but simply click on the garbage can, it will ask for confirmation that you do want to delete. But if you click on don't show again, it will understand that anytime you click on the garbage can while the layer is selected, it will delete it. Okay, so that's the basic of your text. Remember, once you go to your move tool, all your controls are over on the right side for changing font, for changing whether it's regular, for changing your size, for changing if you have sentences written, changing the distance between the top line and the bottom, and all these things make different changes here. Notice that there's a question mark into the color now, because as the entire selection is selected, there's multiple colors, so it's saying that there's no one color selected. Okay, thank you for listening. Please come back for the next video. We'll talk a little bit more about font.